Thank you for watching the Silent Sports video blog. This is episode 96 of the SSVB. You're watching it right here on the Silent Sports Gaming channel. As today's date is February 23rd, 2019. Of course, it'll be Sunday probably time this post, so it'll be probably February 24th when you guys see it. Troy West here said thank you so much. Sorry about the blog being so late. It usually be on Saturdays, of course. It's my normal recording day, but I'm gonna move it to Fridays. I think Friday would be a little bit more easier for me in my schedule. So after this one, it'll definitely be Fridays every week, unless something changed. Of course, I have some specials, of course, with the baseball season coming up, and the NBA playoffs. So that's two special vlogs I'll be doing for those two things. But other than that, it'll be every Friday right here on the Silent Sports Gaming channel. And I apologize for the lateness, but it's good that it's late because a lot of news came out, especially in the NFL. But we're going to start with baseball. Of course, the Manny Machado hard trick was earlier this week. I touched on that game, my thoughts on that as he signs with the San Diego Padres. Bryce Harper still ain't signed yet. A couple of teams rumored out there, Philadelphia and San Francisco is the two I heard the most. And spring training started Thursday, so baseball season is right around the corner. And I'll probably start putting together a list every week after this one. Probably best 5 pitchers in the game, best infielders, you know. So I'll make up some lists and have them every week until the season starts. And start giving, then I have a big preview show for the season of baseball. NBA, of course, the All-Star game was last week, All-Star weekend. Wasn't bad. The All-Star game was exciting as well. But we're going to talk about the second half of the NBA season as we look at the both East and Western conferences, who will rise and who will fall. I'll get my thoughts on that. And the latest MVP talk is starting to heat up with Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks, James Harden is a candidate, Paul George, and others. We'll touch on that in a little bit. And then, of course, all the NFL drama, the Steelers drama with Bell and Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. Didn't get a chance to talk about Colin Kaepernick. Of course, that news broke after I recorded last week, so I'll talk about that as well. And also some new news just yesterday. Of course, the owner of the New England Patriots, Robert Kraft, is in a little bit of hot water, so I'll touch on that a little bit as well. And of course, Zion Williamson got hurt for the Duke Blue Devils and other things, tell you what's going on the channel. But we will go ahead and get started. As we start with the MLB news, of course, the Manny Machado contract, 10 years, $300 million, so that's $30 million a year. It's the richest contract in sports history, I think, by a number of years, and the money pretty much. But he's still not the highest paid player in baseball annually. I think he's like 4th in baseball in that. But Padres, to me, for them, of course, this is a good deal. Getting the I think Machado to me is slightly under superstar status, but he's still one of the great players. Of course, I was an Orioles fan, so I watched him a lot. Defensively, he gives you his all. Got a little issues with hustling to first base, things like that. Little nagging, little concerns, I guess, if you want to call them that. But I think he's very talented. I wish the Orioles would have kept him. I really do. They traded him in the mid-season last year. Got some assets back. So, but to the Dodgers, underperforming in the World Series. So a lot of people getting on them for. Some people was for this contract. Some people not. Some people question it. Do we want to win? And if we look at the Padres' history, of course, the team doesn't have a great history on winning. Of course, the only memory about the Padres that I have is 20 Gwynn, and they went to the World Series in '98, got swept by the Yankees. That's pretty much the only thing about the Padres you think about. The ballpark is pitcher friendly, so I wonder will Machado keep his numbers up offensively. Of course, defensively, he will give you a cornerstone on third base. But everything they keep saying about the Padres, they got a good farm system. And is prepared to win in the future or the next few years as young guys come up. So we'll see if that happens. But to me, it doesn't change their fortunes that much. Not this year. I still think this is the Dodgers division to lose, even though they made a lot of changes in the offseason, traded away Matt Kemp and Yashiel Puig and some of their core players. I think the Diamondbacks took some steps back, letting Paul Goldschmidt go. Colorado is like, that's, I don't want to say it's a sleeper team. I think if they win this division next year, I wouldn't be surprised. They got the talent on offense. The pitching has still always been a problem, but that's a team, to me, I'm leaning towards picking to win this division in our West. But we'll see. Like I said, I got time to think about that. But that's the team I think is probably the most solid team right now. Everybody else made a lot of moves and a lot of changes. So, and the Giants just was injured last year, and they might get Bryce Harper, as we're gonna talk about him in a few minutes. So if they do get him, the Giants is a sleeper team as well. But we'll see how this season goes. But for us, the signing itself, now for people to say you don't want to win, I understand it, but I don't think that's the case. I think Manny wanted to go somewhere. Well, this is another day they were saying about him. I was hearing on sports radio and other experts that he want to go to the Yankees or the Phillies, those big markets that put pressure on you to perform. So they say, hey, you want to go to New York and Philadelphia for those two reasons. They was two teams that was competed for him. The White Sox was another team that offered them a contract, and they was shocked that they didn't get him. They thought their deal was a decent deal. I think I'm gonna believe theirs was 8 years, $275. I think, if I remember correctly, that I read. So, and the White Sox, to me, I don't think between them and the Padres, I don't think there's much of a difference as far as like winning. So, but the AL Central is wide open. The Indians is the most solid team, but I still think they just gonna hit a wall. But everybody else in that division is, the Tigers have fallen off. The Royals have lost all their players after winning for a few years. The White Sox, I just mentioned the White Sox. So that division is pretty much wide open. As far as maybe competing in a little bit, maybe sneak and try to get a wild card spot. The Twins was a team also on the cover. They took a step back last year. So, but as an Orioles fan, I just was hoping he would stay here. The Padres came up with the money, and he took the money. And if that's the case, I don't have a problem with it. We'll see if it changes the Padres' fortunes, but I don't think it will, at least not for this season. I think the Padres will still be probably be in last place again in the NL West. So, but Machado got signed, so whatever that means for Bryce Harper. Keep hearing about the Phillies and the Giants. I think he met with the Phillies yesterday in Las Vegas. I guess that's where he's traded at, I guess, for right now until he gets signed. A lot of people leaning towards Philadelphia as the favorite, but the Giants have seen him as well. There's even rumors about the Padres actually signing him, so we'll see. But I think he's going to get signed soon, within the next week or so. But they said his contract might be $350 for the same amount of time, 10 years. So we'll see if that's the case for Bryce Harper. I think he's a decent player. I think in Washington was a lot of drama, of course, with the Nationals. He hit a lot of home runs this year. His average was down. I think he's decent defensively, and but I think his charismatic personality draws people to him. So we'll see where he lands. Honestly, personally, even the Nationals still got a chance. They said he might sign back with them. I don't think so. I think if they was going to sign, I think they would have signed him back. I think that would have happened sooner. So I don't think he's going back to the Nationals, but if he go to the Phillies, that would be nice, because the Phillies it was hanging in there for us a playoff spot. Then they fell off a little bit towards the end of the year. Of course, I'm a Braves fan, so I guess in that part of me, I kind of hope he goes somewhere else. But it's still to be fun to be like the 90s and compete with the Phillies. That was our the Braves, never since I'm saying our as a fan. The Phillies was our number one nemesis in that division in our glory days. So, but the Nationals have dominated the NL East for a long time, or at least for the last few years. I think they're now an average team. They got some decent players. Max Scherzer, to me, is one of the best pitchers in baseball, so they have some talent there. But I think he's going to wind up, like Philadelphia, I think what I'm hearing is probably where he's going to wind up landing. We'll see where he lands, and as soon as he does, we'll talk about it more. But speaking of baseball as a whole, is spring training. I think it started Thursday. There was a lot of games today, so baseball is right around the corner. Like I said at the beginning of the blog, I'm going to do a list of top players, like pitchers, infield, outfield. So I have some lists every week, so we'll have some baseball every week to talk about. So that's it with the MLB news. Let's move on to the NBA. This the second half started Thursday. Of course, the All-Star weekend was nice. Didn't see All-Star Saturday. I just read about it. Heard the Slam Dunk contest was a dud once again. I think it's just, to me, it's just, I think for it to get revived, I think they're going to have to get some superstars in the game, like some well-known players to compete. I think this is the only thing that's going to really bring the fans back. Half the players you didn't know nothing about, pretty much all of them. And then the dunks was bad as well, at least I heard. It wasn't nothing really spectacular, which is a part of the issue too, because we've seen pretty much everything humanly possible that can be done. So that's also two things against the concept. I think they got to get some superstars in it, like some well-known, established guys like LeBron. Wish LeBron would have ever did it, and other superstars. That's the only way it's going to be good again. The three-point contest is always good. Oh, by the way, hey, I know somebody from Oklahoma City. See, I forgot. I forgot his name already. I should have wrote it down. But the young guy, he won the dunk contest. He jumped over Shaquille O'Neal to finish that. I think who won the three-point contest? Joe Harris from the New Jersey Nets. Excuse me, the Brooklyn Nets. I should get 5 for saying the New Jersey Nets. But the Brooklyn Nets, he won the three-point contest. I think Tatum won the skills challenge. But I did see the All-Star game. The All-Star game was pretty entertaining. Looked like Giannis was going to pull off the win, but LeBron team came back. I think the talent pretty much shined, and they pulled away. They was down by 20. But it was good. One good moment I liked, Dirk Nowitzki hit a couple of threes. Of course, him and D Wade retiring at the end of the year. Of course, my sentimental pick for MVP of the game was for Wade, but Durant wound up winning MVP. It was an entertaining game, though, as always, to me, anyway. But let's talk about the second half. Of course, games got started Thursday, today Saturday, about to be Sunday. Let's look at the Eastern Conference. The East is pretty much more interesting this year than the West to me, because I think the Warriors still going to probably get the 1 seed and probably win the whole thing again. But the East, with teams rising like the Milwaukee Bucks, who is in first place right now, the Raptors, of course, making a move from Marc Gasol. That's interesting with Kawhi Leonard. I think they're a contender. Boston, even though they're 5th right now in the conference, I still think they got a high ceiling. If they ever get the rotation together, I think that's been their main problem. The Sixers, to me, like I said, even though they got Tobias Harris now, I think, I don't know, just something missing with the Sixers. Embiid still got bumps and bruises. He missed a few games already. Who else in the East? Boston, Toronto, I said Philadelphia. Indiana, like I said, they're still hanging around, but without Uncle Dupo, I think that's going to be a factor. But the East, sort of, like I said, sort of, other than that, wide open after that, at the bottom. But they, like I said, the two real established teams, Milwaukee and Toronto. I think Boston's got some work to do, and Philadelphia as well has some work to do. But they're the top 4 teams. Indiana's in there, you can throw them in there, but I think losing over Dupo And when playoffs time come around, I think the way their team is built, I don't think it's good for the playoffs. The Nets, speaking of the Nets been still hanging in there. The Charlotte Hornets, I think, is a contender. The Miami Heat. So it's teams at the bottom that could probably do some damage as well. So the East looking pretty sharp, but right now, if I had to pick a team, the best team in the East, I would say the Milwaukee Bucks. Just gotta, not just because they got the best record in the NBA, just the way they've been playing, like shooting the 3-ball pretty well, which was, to me, them and Philadelphia too was the two teams I was like, well, that's gonna hurt them. I think I picked Boston to come out the East. I gotta check it again because I forgot, but I think I did pick Boston to win the East. Toronto, gotta get them props as well. With Kawhi, it's really the real deal. I said it, I doubted about just him missing all that time. That was gonna take him a while, but he's definitely had an impact already for the Raptors. And a lot of people say the Raptors is the best team in the East, and it's not the same team with the Rosen and even though Lowry's still there, but it's not the same court. It's a different vibe there. Plus LeBron, it's not in the East anymore because that was the person and team in the way the Cleveland Cavaliers. So maybe that's time for the Raptors to break through. But I had to say the Bucks right now is the favorite to come out the East. And then the West, of course, as I just said, the Warriors. Nuggets still hanging around there, but a lot of people really don't believe in the Nuggets, so people don't bring them up. But the Thunder quietly is playing very good basketball. Paul George, as we're about to talk about MVP so far in the league, is playing out of his mind. Russell Westbrook seems like he's starting to get his scoring back. But to me, that's probably the second best team in the West to maybe challenge the Warriors. Everybody else got flawed. Denver, like I said, just kind of young and still don't have like that super guy, even though Jokic is formidable, but it's not no go-to superstar on that team. And I think that factors in the playoffs. Houston, I think James Harden having an outstanding year once again. But I think Chris Paul is going to be the difference. If he come back healthy, he's going to have to be there if they're going to make any moves. I mentioned the Thunder. Portland Trailblazers quietly is hanging in there. I like Damian Lillard, always did. Him and McCollum in the backcourt is lethal. But after that, you don't know what you will get for the rest of the guys. Utah, sort of young too with Donovan Mitchell. I love Donovan Mitchell. But I think they still need to do some things if they're going to compete. Can the Lakers get back in it? That's pretty much the talk of the West. LeBron talking about he got to, I forgot exactly what he said, but he got to turn it to the playoff him or something he said. Basically, he got to focus and get this team back. But I don't know. I don't know about the Lakers. I think they too talented. I think they might still make the playoffs, but I think they're going to be like a one and done type deal. You can't never discount the Spurs either, so that's just things to watch out for in the West. The second half should be great, but like I said, I'm looking at Milwaukee and maybe, well, of course the Warriors, not maybe. The Warriors, I think it's going to come out the West for sure. But the early MVP, well, I won't say early, but MVP talk. To me right now, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo for the Bucks. If I had to pick MVP right now, that would be mine. But like I said, James Harden deserves some credit. His run to 30-point games, I think that streak still is alive. 30 games straight with 30 points, that's just amazing. And he risen the Houston Rockets after their slow start. He's been keeping them afloat without Chris Paul, but I think they still going to need Chris Paul to do anything in the playoffs. Paul George deserves a lot of love as well, what the Thunder's doing. And his numbers he's put up. I think they say he averaged like 40 points in this month, so he's having a monster season. Becoming that go-to guy. And also Kawhi led it to me, which I picked in the preseason, because I'd say if Toronto get the 1 seed, which they still could get it. But I think what's going to hurt him is he's been resting a lot of games, so that might hurt him, but I think he needs to be considered as well. So they're easily a top 4. Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Paul George, like they're in the top 4 right now for MVP discussion. Anybody else, Don't think that you deserve there was another tier. But I think they're the top 4. I would have to go with Giannis right now. Alright, so that's it with NBA for now. Let's move on to the NFL news. There's no games being played, but there's a lot of news. Of course, the Flacco trade was last week, but that's pretty much been a mute thing now. Everything else has gone on. Let's start with the Steelers, man. Like the Steelers, like what's going on in Pittsburgh? A lot of drama with Antonio Brown. Actually, I think it was Thursday, he officially asked for a trade. He met with ownership, and ownership basically said there's nothing they can do. They agreed to part ways, so he most likely will be traded. I don't think it's going to happen soon. I think it's going to probably be either close to the draft or after the draft, or before trading camp. I think that's when he'll probably get moved. But the Steelers had a list, like they're not trading them in the division, so that means no Browns, Ravens, or Bengals. He won't be getting traded to any of those teams. And they also said the Patriots as well. Like they had to put that out there. They're not trading them to the Patriots. So that's not going to happen. They said they were trying to trade them to the NFC. So maybe the San Francisco Niners might be more realistic than we think. So maybe that's where it go, but I don't think it's going to happen soon. I'd be surprised if it happened before the draft. But you know, basically the thing is, him and Ben Roethlisberger don't get along. Things been said here and there. Roethlisberger goes on local radio and publicly criticizes everyone, and it rubs him the wrong way. So that's been the big blow up there. And then Brown, little stuff off the field too. Like I said, he had a speeding ticket that he just had to deal with. Some domestic things. I think he threw a couch over his balcony or something like that. It's just some little small stuff off the field as well with him. But looked like he really wants out of Pittsburgh. So, but some people say there's still a chance he can work it out and stay. The way what I'm hearing, I don't think so. I think he crossed too many lines. I don't think he can come back. And speaking of more Steelers drama, Le'Veon Bell is officially will not be franchise tag this year. So that means he will be a free agent when the league season starts. I think it's March 13th. So he will be able to sign wherever he want to sign at. Will he still get his 15? I think he wanted 15 million. Will he still get that? I don't know. A lot of people say he fit in certain places. We'll see. But still, it's definitely going to be different without those two guys. They were the two top players on offense. But if you look at it this way, they didn't win anyway when all of them was there. So maybe the Steelers just want to clean house and get the culture back to how it used to be. And Roethlisberger on his last few years. So I think in this draft, even though they have drafted quarterbacks, I think they need to really seriously draft one to get ready for that transition from Big Roethlisberger. But like I said, the more and more things come out about the Steelers. Of course, the Bengals is probably going to take a step back with a new coach. I think the Browns is possibly win this division. To me, it's clearly them and the Ravens. And I like Lamar Jackson. I'm a Ravens fan, by the way. I'm from Baltimore, as I mentioned every time I talk about the Ravens or the Orioles. But I think Lamar Jackson still need to be polished a little bit more. And I like Baker Mayfield. Maybe Baker Mayfield does too, but Baker Mayfield I think is more further along than Lamar Jackson. That's what might give the Browns the edge. Even though I think the Ravens defense is still pretty elite. But they're the two top teams to be in the division. I think the Steelers, this is their time. They finally, I've been calling it for years. They're going to decline. And then Antonio Brown came out of nowhere. So I think this is finally it. The Steelers, the writings on the wall. I think they're going to take a little step back. They did make the playoffs last year, so and I don't know if they're going to make it this year either. But we have a lot of more time to talk about that. And that's not all the NFL news, of course. I think I recorded my blog early, I want to say early Saturday morning or early Friday morning. And of course the Colin Kaepernick news broke with the about his collusion case. Of course, he's had a settlement. Them and the NFL came to a settlement agreement. We don't know no details. We don't know if how much Kaepernick was compensated. Him and Eric Reid, throw Eric Reid in there as well. Even though Eric Reid played a little bit this year for the Panthers. But I guess I don't know about this because I don't know what he agreed to or didn't agree to, what he settled for. We know he definitely got some money, that's common sense. But I've been hearing people say, well, they want to know kind of what the details is. Did he agree if he comes back to the NFL, will he kneel or not kneel, or, you know. So there's a lot of mystery around it. But I'm just going to assume that he didn't just take anything. I think he got some stuff in his favor. There's probably some stuff in his favor for the NFL as well. A lot of people look at it, well, the NFL must have did something wrong. They don't want nothing to get out because, of course, the part of the agreement is can't mention it, can't talk about it. So the NFL ain't had to turn over no personal, or they might have did, and it's not going to never be public, at least for the time being. But I think somehow something's going to get leaked by somebody. But like I said, ever since Kaepernick started his crusade, I've been 100% behind him. I think he had the right to kneel and stand for what he stand for. Only problem I had with him, and it's not really a major problem, I just wish he just spoke more publicly. Even though he did speak, he would go on social media and say, you know, certain things. But I think as far as like really talking to the media, not necessarily to the media, even if just say a little bit more, be a little bit more clear about, you know, what you was doing. But I'm definitely 100% behind him, and I'm happy for him. He definitely should have got compensated for the years that he missed. But as far as him coming back to the league, I still don't think so. I still don't think he could get signed. And I think now they're going to use the excuse he haven't played in 2 years. But it'll be almost 3 by the time the new season starts. So I think that's what's going to be against him there. They're going to say he haven't played, even though I still think he's under 30, I believe. I might be wrong about that, but still think he's relatively young. But I think that's what's going to be the excuse now. Just like with Ray Rice, even though it's a different situation, but once everything started to get positive for him, people thought he would get signed. I was like, no. Now he's a running back for one, and for two, he was over 30, so that's what they used against him after that. So he pretty much got phased out the league. I think the same thing going to sort of happen to Colin Kaepernick, unfortunately. Now they're going to use the football stuff against him now. You haven't played in 2 years, and you won in 15 of your last 16 games, and all that stuff. They're going to use the football stuff now as an excuse. So, but I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope he does get signed by somebody. Of course, the rumor is the Carolina Panthers because Eric Reid's there, but I don't think the Panthers will make that step. Even though news came out about Cam Newton's injury, so he might not be ready for the regular season. So they said it'd be a nice transition to give it to Kaepernick because Kaepernick is a similar skill set that Cam does. So I just don't think the Panthers going to do it. They already got Eric Reid. I don't think they would have Eric Reid ahead Colin. I mean, people say it makes sense. I don't think so. I think it'd be more of a media circus, you know. And which, like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I mean, maybe the Panthers will make the move, but people go accuse them of being just trying to get headlines and stuff like that. But wherever he gets signed, if he gets signed, I don't really think he is. I hope he does get back in the league. I wouldn't mind seeing him play again. I think he's still a former quarterback. I think he got a raw deal with San Francisco for one, when he still was there. And of course the league screwed him the rest of the time. But his lawyer came out. His lawyer was on somewhere on CNN. I heard the sound bites. Colin still want to play, and I think the Patriots was mentioned. A couple of teams the lawyer threw out there. So we'll see. I like Colin Kaepernick as a player as well, so it would be nice to see him back in the league. But I personally don't think he's gonna get signed by nobody. But I'm just glad that's over well for us. The whole collusion thing, even though I think some people did, keep him out. But I'm just glad that's over for him. He can move on. And if he don't play again, I think he's fine with it. I think he's fine and still being an advocate for social justice and police brutality and things of that nature. So still a lot of story to go. Story ain't over yet. We'll see how days turn out for him. And finally, that's it with the blog this week. Not as long as I thought it was going to be. I think I've been talking for about a little over a half hour. Like I said, I apologize for it being so late. So like I said, by the time you see it, probably will be Sunday. But like I said, from this forward on, it will be Fridays. So episode 97 will be Friday. And whatever goes on in the world of sports, we have it right here. I'll talk about it with you guys. And I always appreciate the support. But just some final thoughts, some other news. Zion Williamson for the Duke Blue Devils, the projected #1 pick possibly. High flyer. Hurt his knee. I think it was Wednesday night against the North Carolina Tar Heels. Of course, one of the biggest rivalry in sports. Definitely in college basketball. Bust out his shoes, twisted his knee a little bit. He's day-to-day. The Blue Devils played tonight. They played at Syracuse tonight. Don't know the score or anything, but he did sit. He didn't play tonight. He's saying he's day-to-day. Some people say he should just sit the rest of the season. Some people say he should just get ready for the draft. Some people say he should play if he's healthy. Me personally, I think I'm more on that side. I think I'd rather have him play. He's been there all year. I think it'd be sort of like quitting if he would leave now. But if he would have just not play at all this year, I'd have been fine with that too. But I do agree with some of the commentators that say now it's not the time. But some people think he should just walk away. And I wouldn't be too mad at him about that either, but I just don't think it feels right. There's other players on the team that's taking injury risks as well. So I think if he's healthy, he should play and try to win a championship with the Blue Devils. But that's something to look out for. We'll see if he plays the next game. But he's day-to-day. No timetable has been set on his injury, but it's just a mild sprain of his knee, so that's good news. So we'll see if he plays again soon. But what's to come up on the channel, other than the blogs, of course. The retro series, like I said, has been taking over. Resident Evil 2 and doing videos of that. So definitely check that out. I'll say my next video maybe probably Tuesday. Probably the next time I do a Resident Evil 2 video. Of course, I'm working this weekend, so can't do it tomorrow, which is Sunday. Can't do it Monday either, I don't think. So Tuesday will probably be the next one. Still doing Sonic Mania with Mighty. Also sort of part of the retro series. And Mega Man X4, we continue that. Frost War will be the first stage. And I think it's just like, which one was it? I forgot what Mega Man X was. It probably was Mega Man X7 when it had the two parts of the stage. So I'm gonna break it down that way. So I'm gonna have part 1 and part 2 of Frost War stage and all the rest of the stages to come there. So that's how I'm gonna break that down. But that's it. Episode 96 is concluded. Like I said, apologize for the lateness. I thank to all my subscribers and followers right here on the network, PlayStation Network as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the weekend, and I thank you guys for your support. I'm Troy West, and thank you, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Vlogs now on Fridays, and I thank you guys for the support. Thank you so much.